Hello and welcome to Tech Deals Game Performance Review Overwatch. We're playing Overwatch today on the Dell Inspiron 15.6-inch laptop computer. I've previously reviewed this computer, link to that in the video description below, as well as a link to the full playlist. I've done a lot of videos on this machine. This computer has an Intel Core i7-6700HQ processor, 4 cores, 8 threads, up to 3.5 gigahertz. It is a great CPU. 16 gigabytes of DDR3 1600 megahertz RAM and NVIDIA's GeForce GTX 960M dedicated gaming graphics card with 4 gigabytes of VRAM. Not that we'll be using all that VRAM in this game today, but it does have it. We are playing Overwatch today at 1080p or full HD resolution, medium detail preset with the resolution scale set to auto, which in this case it set it to 83%. Fraps was used for the minimum, maximum, and average game performance numbers that you will see at the end of this video. However, it was not used to capture the video. Instead, I used an external hardware capture card, the HD60 Pro, installed in a separate computer. There was no performance loss by capturing the video. The numbers you will see are from the gameplay that you are currently watching. However, because it was captured using an external hardware card, there was no performance loss, and so the numbers will be exactly what you would get if you played Overwatch on this computer. The numbers in red at the upper left corner of the screen are from MSI Afterburner. This allows you to see in real time what the computer is doing. The very first line, GPU 1, that is the 960M graphics chip itself. It's currently running at 99%, which means all of its compute power, all of its resources are currently being used. Most games are graphics card limited, not CPU limited, so we are using the full capabilities of the graphics card. It's running at 60 degrees Celsius, which is perfectly reasonable and within norms, and it's running at 823 megahertz. Memory 1 is not your main system RAM, that is the VRAM, the video RAM. It's running at 2.5 gigahertz, double that because it's DDR, and so it's actually running at 5 gigahertz. We're only using 866 megabytes of it. This computer does have 4 gigabytes of VRAM, but you don't need it for Overwatch. Some other games do, but not Overwatch. The third line, CPU, we have a 4-core, 8-thread processor. It's a full-scale Intel HQ processor. What does that mean? This is not a low-powered laptop chip. This is almost as powerful as Intel's desktop i7s. It's a true quad-core CPU chip with hyper-threading. It's clocked slightly slower than the desktop chips, but otherwise it's basically the same processor with the full resources you'd expect from a desktop chip. It is at 3.5 gigahertz as opposed to up to 4 gigahertz that you'll find in the desktop, but that's pretty close. Now, because it is hyper-threaded, when you see the CPU hit 50%, it's actually using all 4 cores. So this game, Overwatch, does like to have a good CPU. We are using more than 2 cores, but it doesn't need the hyper-threading. The i5 model would run this just as well. In case you see a deal on the i7-6700HQ, which I've also reviewed, that would do fine because that's a quad-core chip as well. It's currently running at about 60 degrees Celsius, which is also fine. And then our main system RAM, the 4th line RAM, that is how much main system RAM we're using, about 8.6 gigabytes. Now this laptop, when I originally reviewed it, came with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I don't believe you should game on a laptop anymore, at least 3D games like this with 8 gigabytes of RAM in 2016. You can, it will still run well, but you'll get a little bit of stutter as it swaps to the hard drive. You're going to have virtual memory swapping to the hard drive or to the SSD a bit as your RAM starts to get filled up. The upgrade to 16 gigabytes, which I did film on the how-to, you'll find the link to that in the video description below the full playlist. It's less than $40. It's not very expensive, and it does make the overall play smoother. It doesn't make the top frame rate faster, but it does make it a bit smoother, especially when you're using most or all of the 8 gigs of RAM. And then the final line, the 5th line, is we're running in DirectX 11, and as you can see, we're currently doing about 85 frames per second. That's really good. Now, the LCD screen on this laptop is a 60 Hz screen, and so it won't display more than 60 frames a second, and normally you would probably want to have VSync turned on, so it'd be nice, smooth performance, but what this is saying is that it will run above 60 frames per second and give you nice smooth performance even when there's a lot of action going on. We are running at medium detail. You could absolutely run on high, and the average on high would be over 60 frames a second, but the minimum would be below 60. In an online multiplayer game such as this, giving up a little bit of graphical detail in return for having a consistent 60 frame per second game performance, in my opinion, is more important, because your reaction time is dependent on what you can see and what the computer can process. Set it to whatever you want. Will this computer average 60 frames a second at high detail? Yes, absolutely. But it won't maintain a minimum of 60. That's what we have it at medium for. I do wish to give the disclaimer, prices vary. You cannot count on prices remaining the same. However, I reviewed this laptop several months ago. I've had it for a while now. You can currently, as of the day I'm filming this video, buy this laptop for $800 on Amazon. For $800, it is a heck of a deal. You get a 1080p Full HD IPS or in-plane switching screen. Very, very good screen. Much better than the $400 to $500 laptops which have TN panels. It simply means the colors are sharper and brighter. Very, very good screen. You do get a true quad-core i7 processor. Basically, it's the best processor you can buy. You get a dedicated gaming graphics chip with 4 gigs of VRAM. No, it's not the fastest graphics chip you can buy, but it is double the performance of the graphics chip that you'll find in the $550 laptops. I previously reviewed an Acer Aspire E15 laptop with a GTX 960MX, and it's half the performance of this. Now, will it play Overwatch? Yes. Will it play Overwatch at medium detail at 1080p at this frame rate? No, not even close. So you do get a lot for your money. For $800 or $250 more than that machine, you get a quad-core processor instead of dual-core. You get a double the performance graphics chip, the 960M. For those of you wondering, yes, the 10 series cards are out. Yes, there are laptops with a GTX 1060 instead of the 960M. Is it faster? Oh yes, much, much quicker. But they cost more. How much? A lot more. Right now, about the least expensive laptop you can buy with a 1060 graphics chip is going to be in the $1,300 price range. That puts it $500 more than this laptop. Sure, if you've got that kind of money, by all means, those are great machines, and I'm going to review one on my channel. But $1,300 and $800 are two completely different prices. For $800, look, this plays Overwatch perfectly. No, it doesn't play it at ultra detail. It doesn't play every game perfectly, but for $800, it's a bargain. And it does a lot of other things very well. Video editing, 3D animation, multitasking, running many programs, Windows programs at once, web browsing, and playing many, many games. It does a great job. I really, really like the value of this machine. Ouch, that hurts. That guy with the grappling hook always gets me. Oh well. At least I got him. And that was kind of wasted. He turned. Bummer. The interesting thing about Overwatch, when I first heard about it, when I first saw the promos when it came out, I kind of looked at it and thought, I don't get it, what's the point? I have to admit, I've actually kind of really gotten into this game. Some of the games that I do benchmarks on, that I do tests on, aren't necessarily games that I personally play a lot, but I've actually started playing this even more than just in testing it. And while I admit that Diva here is my favorite character, mostly because I like the robot mech, and it's kind of a tanky character, which I appreciate, there are a wide variety of characters. I have to say that the ouch, that's gonna hurt. The fact that I can eject out of the mechs is kind of cool. There's such a variety of characters that you can play so many different kinds of playstyles. There will be links down in the video description below to several things. There will be links to buy Overwatch itself. There will be links to Amazon and Newegg for this Dell laptop that I have reviewed. There will be links to the full playlist of videos. What have I done on this laptop? I upgraded the RAM, I installed a solid-state drive, and showed the cloning, because this computer comes with a hard drive. And so I installed a solid-state drive and cloned Windows from the hard drive to the SSD. I've done Windows performance videos. I've done a variety of different videos and other games, so by all means check out those links down below. Now, if you're interested in playing maybe a little bit more demanding games, Battlefield, Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, stuff like that, the graphics chip in this laptop is in fact fairly basic, and it's going to run into some struggles with some of the newer games. If you want to play those games at high or ultra detail, you are going to need a 1060 rather than a 960M, and I will be doing a review on one of those laptops coming up soon. But again, as I said, you're looking in the $1,300-ish range, and it goes up from there. You can find some nice $1,600, $1,700 laptops. But it's just a lot of money to spend, especially if you can play games like this. We lost. How about that performance? Average of 87 frames per second, minimum of 68, and a max of 109. That is spectacular performance for what this laptop really is. To give you a comparison, on the $550 Acer Aspire I previously reviewed at medium detail, that did 56 frames per second average with a minimum of 24 and a max of 74. The minimum of 68 on this is over double the performance of that laptop for just $250 more. And in addition to, you get the IPS screen instead of TN panel, a quad-core chip, double the graphics power. This is the deal. Among all the laptops on the market, the price to performance, the bang for the buck, so to speak, this by far is the deal. Like this video if you like it. Don't if you don't. Remember to subscribe to my channel with the big huge red button right below. Leave your questions and comments in the comments box below. And as always, check out the video description, the links to Amazon, Newegg, eBay, and others down there. If you like my video, if you want to see more of them, use them, and I'd be greatly appreciative. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.